Alright, before we actually head to the pit, we have to talk to this piece of crap one more time to get underway. I think this will actually make him spawn next to the train car inside. He's been stalking us.
Alright, you got a disguise. Good, good. We're ready to head out. I'll meet you up by the tunnel that leads to the pit. You go get whatever you'll need for the trip. I followed you. I've gotten very good at staying out of sight when I don't want to be seen. Oh yeah? What is it? Gather what supplies you'll need and meet me at the first tunnel to the pit. You'll never find your way there without me to guide you. The city's built on the backs of slaves. We're diseased and suffering. What else do you want to know? He's a guy named Asher. I don't know where he came from, but he's strong enough that he keeps all the other bosses in line. Bosses, well, they're a ragtag group of vicious little fucks, but they have the guns and the power. Asher keeps them from killing each other and keeps them forcing us to work. Medea, she's another slave like me. She's helping to organize them. She'll know when it's time. Some of us are native to the pit. Most of us are, really. People sometimes have kids before the sickness takes them. But the need for slaves has gotten bigger. Asher started importing them. Ever wonder why there are so many slavers, but you hardly see any slaves? The slaver operation in this area has been supplying the pit. Whatever you say, Moneybags. What else do you want to know? Whatever you say, Moneybags.
Well, that's annoying.
What do you want to know about it? After the war, the place just turns into a shithole. The buildings start falling over, and the sickness makes people just turn on each other. Some of them change. They lose any sense of who they are. They just go around killing and fucking and eating. Like animals, man. Some people are still okay, but just, I don't know. Anyway, about 30 years ago, those Brotherhood guys come in and wipe the place out. They kill all of these sick fucks. Anything that looks like it's gonna fight, bam! Then they take whatever they were looking for and leave. Well, as bad as the pit is, it used to be worse. Much worse. It was complete chaos. Every man for himself. About the time I was born, those Brotherhood guys swept through the place. Killed anything that put up a fight. More than half the place was dead by the time they were done. It was a slaughter. But they got the worst of the worst. If it weren't for the Brotherhood sweeping the place, I doubt if Asher would have been able to get control of as much as he has. It's hard to describe. It's nasty, and it affects everyone a little differently. But the longer you're there, the more it gets you. Some just get sick and die. Others go crazy, completely psycho. They live out in the city. We call them wild men. And the worst, well, just hope you never have to see them. They turn into animals. They forget who they are. They just eat, sleep, fuck, and kill. But this cure, maybe it can stop all that. The city is built on the backs of slaves. My people. We're diseased and suffering. They've restarted the steel mills there. They have us breaking down metal and reforging it. No one knows why. But the guy in charge, Asher, you can damn well bet your life that he has a plan. Whatever you say, Moneybags.
Really need to stop that.
We're counting on you.
Alright. Now, I actually already did make a trip back to Megaton, put up all my excess gear, and even stood out front and waited for Lucky Harris to rotate through on the merchants so I could get some extra ammo. We'll be using the ammo press. Other than that, it's good to go.
It'll be a long trip. Let's get going.
Alright, off we go. Dog can't come with us. We'll be on our own for this one, for as long as we're here. This place is dreary. This is really cool post-apocalyptic feels from this DLC. Didn't get that from the other ones. Not even the one where you go, you know, to where all the inbred people are. that resort island. Now this one's got the real post-apocalyptic feels, in my opinion. Looks like I could arm myself with something. Did bring along one trash weapon that I'm willing to throw away. And I want to talk about something that Werner said also.
What are you guys doing here?
Put some things in perspective.
I ask you the same thing. You've got a lot of guts coming back to this place, Werner.
Yeah? Well, I guess that's the difference between us. I have a lot of guts. You don't.
Interesting, he wasn't treated like a normal slave on site. It's almost like they had something going. Maybe the slavers that were after him when we first met up with him weren't there because he quote-unquote escaped. He's dressed a whole lot better than the rest of the slaves here, as we'll see. Like, look how we're dressed. We're dressed like the slaves here. What's up with this dude with his 44 Magnum and Merc suit and stuff? No, there's more story to this dude than what meets the eye. But remember, he said that before the Brotherhood came through, it was just chaos. All right, everyone was basically acting like animals, raping one another, taking each other's stuff, killing each other off, and just sitting around waiting to become trogs. Right? We'll find out what trogs are. So they have an excuse to do the exact same thing: kill each other, rape each other, eat each other. You know, doing whatever they're doing. Okay, so I'll tell you what. If we're going to a place that's actually some form of established settlement, right, that's more than what they had before if they were just sitting around waiting to die, right? And I know the whole downtrodden slave issue immediately gears people's minds towards saying, well, the slaves are in the right and the slavers are in the wrong. And historically speaking, yeah, I guess that would be the case. But here, you're talking about a post-apocalyptic wasteland where, besides the rad scorpions and ghouls and deathclaws and what have you, the other slavers and raiders and just psychos and maniacs who come through and kill and rob and rape and destroy just for the sake of doing it and so on and so forth. You have to put up some walls and you need some guns to defend yourself, right? And it sounds like they not only had that from without, they had it from within also. Figured we'd filter through some of the new sets of armor that are available. Look a little bit different. This one right here isn't actually too bad. I could run with some of these, but they have a much higher armor rating than your typical Raider armor, which is like somewhere between, what, 2 and 8 or something. I think the Merc outfits have 2. The Raider armor has like 6 or 8 or something like that. It's not a lot. It goes up once you get perks and bonuses. Like, you'll see my armor rating is higher in some things because I have more defenses and things like that. I believe that plays a part. But either way, the DLC sets have basically like medium armor ratings, more like combat armor and stuff like that, even though they're just Raider armor, and they have extra little perks and stuff. And it's cool for a change in skins, but I was going for a more of a roleplay challenge type aspect, so I'll probably stick with my Pain Spike, just for that reason alone. Putting on a set of this, along with the other buffs and bonuses I'll get in the game, you know, things like, you know, the survival perk, the perk from Oasis for destroying Harold's Heart, you know, which we'll probably eventually get to. Stuff like that. You eventually get the armor rating as if you're wearing power armor anyway. Oblivion and Skyrim work like that too. Once your armor rating got up, you essentially could almost run around naked and still have the armor rating that you would. I think it played a little different in Skyrim, but types of armor at some point in the game didn't make any difference. In Oblivion, you could essentially just have, I think it was the same way, as long as you had a particular kind of armor rating for whatever you were wearing. You could get it to the point where a light set of, I don't know, leather armor or something, or fur armor was just as good as Daedric armor, protection-wise. But anyway, so this isn't a whole lot different than that. Fallout has a lot of those same principles. You have toughness perks and other things when all factored in, and I guess as you level, you also gain some damage resistance and stuff so that you can scale with the game. And when you put all that together,
As far as I can go.
You get pretty good armor
It's up to
rating.
you from here on out. Don't expect to take anything you have in with you. They'll strip you clean, but I'll find a way to get your things back to you. Once you're inside, find a slave named Medea. She'll be able to help you. Remember, your goal is to get access to Asher and find the cure. After you have it, I'll contact you. That's it. Good luck. We're counting on you.
If you ask him to sneak in a weapon, I think you get like a 32 pistol that he sticks in your butt or something, and then that's, you know, something you can get in there with, but weapons will become available. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about all that, but I'll be throwing a bunch of this stuff away regardless. Okay, so, all right, back to the whole slave thing. Okay, so the Pitt, before the Brotherhood of Steel came through, they were killing each other off and essentially waiting to die or turn into monsters so that they could continue to kill each other off, right? And whatever, all right? Just pure animals. So they come through and they bring in some semblance of order, right? And what shape does that order come in? Well, if you are dead set on dying, right, in order to keep you alive, sometimes one must ignore your whimpering. In other words, if you're spoiled to not picking yourself up off the ground, then when someone else picks you up, don't in a sense cry about it. Well, how can enslaving these people be picking them up? Well, when you take the term slavery off of it and you say, okay, in order to establish a settlement that will be secure in some sense from the outside world, everything outside the pit, and keep it from destroying itself from within, keeping the trogs down. We'll find out what trogs are. We're gonna become well acquainted with them here shortly in the game. But to keep them from being destroyed from within and from without, sometimes a little bit of discipline is necessary, or else everybody is going to die off here. All right, so what you have to do is you have to set up some kind of security, some kind of force. You have to find some way to get everyone to pick themselves up off their feet and build something around themselves. Because let's put it this way, if it weren't for the Brotherhood coming through, this place would be extinct. This would be just another ghost town, you know? Look at this dude ducking out of my vats. Okay. Alright, dude. You want to play Ring Around the Rosie? That's the bad part of getting stuck with this slow fire piece of crap. Alright, time to heal up. Damn it. Okay. Well, this isn't a good start, is it? But you know, they're crying because they are being forced to build a town around themselves, right? And so they call it slavery. And okay, let's put it this way. Let's say they free themselves of all the slavers here. They kill Asher and everyone else. Let's just say they did that. All right, and they got everything they're looking for. They found this cure and exploited it and used it up. You know, squeezed it dry, killed the goose laying the golden egg, in a sense. All right, that's a perfect analogy there. Let's say they did all that, and the people that you see here, forget any future generations or even tomorrow. Just for today, let's say they got cured. All right. Okay, these are the same people who, without Asher coming in to make them survive, okay, without that, they were dying. They were killing each other off. They didn't even need any help from outside. They were killing themselves, right? Or allowing themselves to die, just waiting to die, right? And these are the same people who, up to this point, have allowed themselves to be enslaved like this because they wouldn't work for themselves. They wouldn't build the pit around themselves. They needed the direction, all right? You get a little direction, now all of a sudden dying isn't so imminent, and now all of a sudden you bare your chest out and you say, we're enslaved and we demand our rights and our freedom, even though without what little we do have, we'd all be dead right now. They don't, of course, factor any of that in. They're just all about the principle of we're enslaved and that's not right, so what we're going to do is we're going to demand our freedom. Let's say they do it. Let's say they win here. They kill Asher and all the slavers. What happens? Well, the Trogs that are still in the city run the place over. Because the security force that is in place is as much keeping the slaves alive as keeping them working, okay? So, the Trogs rise up. The walls go down. There's no one manning all the walls. There's no one watching all the entrances. There's no one mining all the bridges like this right here. Okay, so when all that's done, guess what happens when the rest of the wasteland learns that they have a working mill and maybe some ammo? In fact, they might just have one stim pack here. That's justification for raiders to come through and kill and rape everybody because, shit, they do it anyway. All right, so, and the super mutants and anybody else that might want something the pit has. How do they keep those individuals from coming to just take what they want after that? You get rid of your security force, which is, like I say, keeping you alive just so much as keeping you working, okay? You get rid of all them, all right? And so you get your quote-unquote freedom. What do you have within a week, all right? Destroyed. Okay, well, I don't like that. Doesn't make it less true. That's what would happen. That's what you have here. All right, so what you have is an extreme short-sightedness. And top that off with Werner, who's a completely heartless, conniving, backstabbing, scandalous piece of shit. All right, he's not anything that he makes himself out to be. him running around with his 44 Magnum and nice set of Merc armor, you know, Merc gear, coming and going basically as he pleases with the Pitt. Okay, that's not a slave. Sorry. I'm not sure what his whole story is or what his relation to Asher here is or whatever, but something a little different going on there. But he's got a cause and he would like to exploit whatever this cure is. And when you do find out what it is and the lengths they're willing to go through to get this and exploit it, squeeze it dry, kill it at the price of quote-unquote curing everyone that's here today, which would, without Asher and without any kind of guidance or direction, they're all going to die anyway. Okay, so their whole movement to free themselves is absolutely completely misguided. Now, in the long term, even if the current generation of slaves and raiders here, you know, were to die out before any of this actually came to pass, the vision for the future of the Pit, considering it has working steel mills and they have the ability to defend themselves and build something up, if they can finally get rid of the disease that causes people to turn into trogs and get rid of what trogs are still left that have turned into mindless things, which, like I said, we'll see shortly. Okay, and maybe a generation or two down the road, if you have that kind of vision and you're willing to work towards it, hard choices need to be made. How do you make people live when they're dead set on dying, when they're dead set on giving up and quitting, right? And the quick cure is, I feel bad today, so I'm going to take this cure. Well, you kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. If you have a long-term cure that can not only clean up what you have here, but keep it from happening in the future, you may have literally a generation or two of people that may have to suffer as a price to pay for that. Similar to soldiers dying on the front lines, so you can sit on your couch and cry about what soldiers do. You know, that type of thing is you have a price to pay for that type of real freedom. Not the kind of freedom they're talking about now is, let's go squeeze this cure dry for everything it's worth and I'll get a quick fix so that the raiders can come tomorrow and come kill us anyway and probably start this shit all over without a cure, which would just be doomed to failure. You see what I'm saying? And that's the reality of it. And it's not even a harsh reality. Anything that's true today is considered harsh reality because it's not comfortable, right? And it's not a lie to make someone feel better and help someone live in la la land and avoid the truth. Okay, the truth isn't harsh, it's just the truth. It seems harsh by principles today because most people live in a lie. Right? So, anyway. Once again, you're talking about hardcore moral decisions or, you know, topics and things. Well, that's brought up with the game. EA, BioWare, they're notorious for this type of stuff. They're notorious for it. That's like their bread and butter. We get a little bit of that here. And so actually what you have here, and they did a pretty cool job of the way they wrote this, is the quote-unquote good choice isn't. Right? And the quote-unquote bad choice isn't. The good path is actually evil, and the evil path is actually good. Keeping long-term, what'd you call it? Long-term survival in mind. Actually, what seems like the bad choice off the top, and that's the way they wrote it. On purpose. And I got someone with a sniper rifle up here. Speaking of sniper rifle, I want that sniper rifle. And I'm willing to kill this slaver for it. That's exactly what I'm going to do right here. And too many point blank shots. I can't take those. That's not cool. I'm not going to sit down there on the bridge and let her blow up cars on me. Screw that. Kind of like Arkansas at Minefield. You don't even give them a chance in the first place. Let's see, need something a little faster than that. There we go. She was badass. Okay, definitely want a bunch of this stuff. If you remember coming in, I did leave some of that stuff. Yeah, I don't think it's safe to jump down from here. I think we're going to have to take the long way. I did leave some of that stuff in a, was it a first aid box or something? and I could get that on the way out. Like I said, I probably won't be using these pieces or these sets of armor that are unique to the pit. Like I say, specifically because of their armor rating. Although one or two of them look all right. Still, my pain spike armor is that's probably my favorite. I think I'll just run with that. It doesn't really matter either way. But we could pick those up on the way out. It's like I say, unique stuff. If nothing else, to collect. For those of you that are still just dead set on decorating your house, lots of stuff that you can set on shelves and the floor and cabinets and tables and stuff. Who hasn't at some point or another in Fallout had a house full of just every weapon there ever was laying in every square inch of it? In fact, how many times do you have so many weapons laying around that sometimes when you walk into your house, it's like your whole house explodes? Shit just goes everywhere just because you open the door, or because you come in with your dog and your dog starts walking on stuff and you got miniguns and plasma rifles flying everywhere. Yeah, that type of stuff. Okay, so I got a choice here. I really like the Infiltrator and I really like the Perforator, and the first few can be gotten right here. Just depends on how you want to walk into the pit. I think I'm going to make my presence known by shooting all these dudes in their face and taking their guns. I'm going to lose them at first, but I'll get them back later. So, now right here, I can just dump everything. And if I wanted any of this back, I could just come grab it on the way out. Ooh, I put up my sniper rifle, didn't I? Okay, I think I need to go grab that. And you know what? I think we'll just sit back here and do a little sniping. It's always fun. Either way it goes, it's going to let me into the pit. But like I say, let me go ahead and get these. Should be 3 perforators right here. There's a 4th one you can get in the actual pit itself. There's a fight that we have to go through. I'm so gonna love when my gun skill is closer to 100 and my scope is just sitting rock steady. So much easier. And this sniper rifle was in crap condition when I got it, wasn't it? But we'll get these, get the one out of the actual pit itself. The arena pit. And then get the perforator from collecting ingots. We'll go ahead and grab all 100 ingots too. I think what I'll do when we get to that point is I'll clear out as much of the scrapyard or the steel yard as I can. And then maybe we'll start either from the very front at the bottom or maybe from the very top. Because you have to go up this really big set of, like, what would you call it? It's, I don't know, it's like this big tower thing over one of the furnaces. Alright, and that's like the outside boss. That's the one who would greet us. Now, if we go in with just a slave uniform and nothing else, then we just get to essentially walk in. But what fun is that? Here's a chance to kill a few slavers. Because, see, even though they're a necessary evil here, to keep the slaves in line and to keep people out. Like, if it weren't for these guys, who's going to man these gates and keep super mutants and raiders and anything else that wants to come in out? Not to mention dealing with the problems that are already within on top of that. So there we go. Less weight to have to worry about. You know, point made, but that doesn't make what these people are and how they act any better. That doesn't justify any of it. It's not saying, oh, well, they're necessary, so they're a good thing. Oh, no, they're just as bad a thing as they appear to be. Slaver, raider, pieces of crap, the same ones that attack you every time you turn a corner out in the wasteland. Okay? No different. No better. But a necessary evil. And like you say, sometimes you have to make hard choices. Sometimes the price you pay is, well, it's like this. Things that you want. Oh, well, I wouldn't pay that price. Well, then you die. Well, I don't like that. Well, okay, death doesn't care whether you like it or not. You're still dead. You know, I mean, like I say, hard choices have to be made. Or the alternative. And assuming most people would rather live than die, then sometimes you have to do the hard things, and that's what we have here going on, Pitt.
What? buddies at the gate, and we just let you walk in here? On any other day, I'd just stake you out for the trogs. But Asher says to put you to work. And what the big man says, goes. But it looks like we're gonna get some good stuff out of it, eh? Good luck. Get her, boys! That's enough. Get her stuff. Come on, hurry. Hey, put that down. That's mine. Okay, got everything? Let's get out of here.
Well, welcome to the pit.
Relax. They messed you up pretty bad. Take it easy. Don't move too quickly. Come on. Sit up now. What were you thinking, trying to shoot your way in here like that? That's not going to help anyone. I thought Werner said you were supposed to be clever. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You're here now, and you look like one of us. So that's good. But we can't talk out in the open like this. Meet me in my house as soon as you get yourself together. We'll talk there.
All right, so here we are. Took a little beat down coming in, but guess we're no worse for wear. Whatever. Either way, you get that stuff back. But I did grab all those infiltrators on the way in, so those will be mine later. Not like I need multiple copies of it. Perforator's cool. It fires a little slower, and the infiltrators are cool. They're just basically a silenced assault rifle, essentially. Very cool too. I like them both. I'll probably switch back and forth. Doesn't really matter. Be careful not to repair one with another, though, which you can do. Now, the perforator, you're not going to be able to take that one apart to repair another gun. I believe that one's like undestroyable as far as that goes. But the infiltrators, they're treated like regular assault rifles, and they actually can be combined to repair one another. Got to be careful about that if you want to keep all of them. All right, so this is the lady we were supposed to meet, Medea. She's kind of heading up the whole idea of a slave rebellion here. Like I say, what do they plan on doing with this place? Should they win? If they could, what would happen? Well, I can tell you what would happen. You'd go back to what it was before the slavers, before Asher got here. Is exactly what would happen.
What's up?
Because the people here haven't changed. They're all of a sudden a force to be reckoned with, ready to establish for themselves a community that's going to withstand the harshness of the wasteland. No, they haven't. Sorry.
All right, we can talk now, but we shouldn't take too long. They saw you come in here, so they'll come looking for you if you take too long. I have a plan for getting you into Asher's palace, but we need to wait. In the meantime, you're going to have to blend in. I don't know what you saw on the way in, but the guards don't really take kindly to workers just standing around. You're going to need to look busy, or they'll sniff you out pretty quickly. And if they get too close, you don't look like you belong here. Outside of the mill, there are a bunch of old steel ingots just lying around. Every so often, the foreman puts out a work order to collect them. It's practically a death sentence, and they never assign it to anyone. They make us pick who's going to do it. Bastards. What in God's name is a super mutant? You know what? Never mind. Whatever they are, you're wrong. What it is full of are trogs. They're what most of us hope we never become. The contamination gets to everyone to some degree. For most people, it's some form of cancer. Sometimes harmless, sometimes not. For others, the contamination drives them insane. If it doesn't kill them, it changes them. They become animals, deformed and inhuman. It's not pretty. They're everywhere and they kill on sight. I can't really help you there. Ask around. Maybe check with Marco in the mill. He's been making some of our tools into weapons. You might even be able to find a gun on one of the dead bosses out in the steel yard. What was that?
What's going on in here, Medea? Who is this scab?
Nothing. Nothing, sir. I was just telling this new worker about the job the foreman posted.
Oh yeah? So she's the one that's going out to the steel yard, huh?
Yes, sir. I told her what she needs to do. She knows. 10 ingots as fast as she can.
Well then, I hope you also said goodbye. Alright, playtime's over. Get to work, grinders. You ain't so good. Jackson, man. Don't forget it.
You ain't so good. Probably because I have good karma. And any slaver or raider type is going to look down his nose at you. But when you're very evil, you'll even have slavers walk up to you every once in a while and give you something. They'll say something like, respect, man, or something like that. It's totally ridiculous. Of course, if you're very good, sometimes you have random settlers and Megaton and stuff walk up and just hand you things, like a few caps or an Instamash or something.
Bill's a friend of mine, a very dear friend. We've worked the mill together for a long time. Last week we were forced to choose someone to gather ingots from the steel yard. Bill volunteered. He didn't want anyone to have to die out there, but he's a survivor. He can't be dead. You look like you can handle yourself. Could you look for him and bring him back? Thank you so much. Just be careful out there. Bill would never forgive himself if someone got hurt looking for him. Bill's a friend of mine, a very dear friend. Last week we were forced to choose someone. He didn't want anyone... Good luck.
Alright, well, Bill should be sitting somewhere out in the steel yard. That can be kind of funny. You can find Wild Bill and come back when you give her the bad news. You can, like, really just lay it on her. It's pretty cruel, but, well, let's just say dark humor. This dude's pretty cool.
Hey there. Welcome to the family. I'm not cheery, really. I've just accepted my role here. I found a book once. Medea read part of it to me. It said, the master doesn't try to be powerful. He is powerful. An ordinary man keeps reaching for power, and thus never has enough. I'd like to be free, but I'm not. And the harder I cling to that idea, the more miserable I'll be that I'm stuck here. And this work is hard enough without extra misery. Speaking of which, I should get back to it.
What he said just, like, totally made sense. I mean, you may not like your lot in life, but once you accept it and you deal with it, doesn't mean you have to stay there, necessarily. But wishing it were different doesn't make it so. It's interesting what makes that intrinsic difference between a powerful person and your ordinary person that just settles for, I guess you'd say, mediocrity. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing either. Everybody plays their role, but what exactly makes that difference? There's that ammo press, by the way, which we can't use right now, but we'll take advantage of that later. I think I have quite a few various kinds of rounds throw into that. I may even go looting the scaffold area later for more rounds, just so I can utilize that. We'll see when we get there. Got a ways to go before that. What does this do? It turns everything off, and it doesn't let you turn everything off. They're dead set on pumping out the steel, I guess.
Hey, not so loud. The bosses can't see what I'm up to over here. Making weapons. Lots of them. There's something coming, and soon.
Yeah, and I'm sure nobody knows that.
I take the crap we find out in the yard, and some of the tools we use, and I make them into stuff we can fight the bosses with.
You just told me that, huh? Just volunteered?
You're the one Medea told me about. Werner sent you, right? I can help you out. Take this. It's called an auto axe. Nice, huh? I make them out of the old car parts the breakers drag in from the city. Do what you can with it. Just be careful around the bosses. Make a wrong move, and you're done.
Right. I'm sure. Here not too long I'm going to be walking around with a fully automatic assault rifle. And they're not going to bat an eye about it, so, you know. There we go. Alright, so this is a unique weapon to the Pitt. For those of you that are into melee stuff, this is interesting. I guess second only to a chainsaw, if you want to run around and do the whole Jason in a hockey mask type thing. This isn't exactly a chainsaw, but it's close.
So you're the lucky scab gathering ingots for me today, huh? Good to see a little enthusiasm for once. Well, follow me.
Alright, and this will get us started. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and probably end this.
So, still yours, huh?
After we talk to this guy, we'll get out in the steel yard and start clearing the place out.
Actually, don't even tell me. It's not like I
Find anything I can use for health. Anything. I'll take those. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm thinking that's about it. Well, here we go.
See that fella up there? You'll be seeing lots of those. And if you survive them, you'll probably be crazies that live up on the blast furnace. Tell you what, why don't you do me a favor and get killed close to the door? That way, I don't have to walk so far to loot your corpse, eh? Here's the door. Get out there and grab some ingots. Don't come back without at least 10.
Alright.
Turn them into me and I'll see if I can slip a little something your way.
Yeah, every 10 ingots is actually going to get us a reward. The last 3 ingots are actually in this area, but we have to wait for that troll guy that we hear chewing. Nasty. Anyway, the last 3 are in here. We have to wait for him to chew a hole in the wall. Alright? And so, we'll get those last. Alright? Thanks for watching, and we'll get out in the steel yard on the next one. Alright? Y'all take care. If you want to catch the rest of this Let's Play, click that image in the middle, subscribe, click that button up top, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.